Why love becomes dangerous when power is unnamed. Why love becomes dangerous when power is unnamed. So, this is a video centered around a release of the definitive version of In Love with the Chimera. It's a fiction novel. Uh Now this novel, the story has been released a couple of times. Um this time is the most advanced version of it that I ever told. I put in a lot of work. I've gotten I've dug in, explored many different ways to tell it, the best way to get out the maximum result. Gotten help. So this is the most advanced form of the story that I've told, and it's even the previous versions were, greatly worth reading, but this is more worth reading than ever. Primarily because initially I focused more as far as marketing on the romance element. And although romance is the most profitable genre of work, but it's not really what I was aiming for. With more digging deep into like the story that I was trying to tell in Love with the Chimera, the genre that aligns with it the most is a psychological power drama. Psychological power drama. This story is heavily about power. Heavily about power. It's a central theme. And power in the realm of relationships. That's what this story focuses on. It's focused on the power in the realm of relationships, essentially chaotic relationships. And so it's a combination of Machiavelli, The Prince, uh, 48 Laws of Power. Then, it has the backdrop of a reality television show. So, The Bachelor, uh, Love and Hip Hop, and, it's just, it's on the focus on the power dynamic of relationships and how, uh, relationships are highly spectacle driven as far as, having substance, having purpose in modern America and the West. And so the first point that I want to hone in on is how intimacy, this is the first one of the main points that this story addresses, how intimacy is often mistaken, sorry, how intensity is often mistaken as intimacy. And how people often confuse how strong something feels with how real or safe it is. So it's about feeling and as opposed to, you know, what's really going on or how safe it is. And, intensity creates uh, immediacy, it creates urgency, it creates obsession, it creates fixation. When in actuality, intimacy requires time, it needs boundaries, it needs clarity. And oftentimes, our nervous system, it interprets chaos. Especially because of the shows, a lot of the shows and the movies that we watch and the media that we follow, it interprets chaos as connection. So just because something feels consuming doesn't mean that it's meaningful. That's the main purpose of the first point. which is intensity is often mistaken as intimacy. Um, Not everything that feels good is worth having. Most things that feel good is not worth having. We talked about discipline. We talked about the hierarchy of purpose in previous videos, motivation, discipline, sacrifice. You know, motivation is more on the spectrum of feeling good. Discipline is like you don't feel like doing it, but you're still going to do it. Sacrifice is what else am I going to give up in my life to be more disciplined, to be more, to be a better version of me, to have more growth. What am I going to give up? What am I going to sacrifice? Point two, power enters the relationship long before anyone names it. And this is dangerous. Power is always present in every relationship dynamic, whether it's, there's a power play, friend, family, acquaintance, etc., spouse, or work. Power is always in play, but it becomes dangerous when it's invisible. That's when it becomes dangerous. And so it's important to explore in every dynamic who has leverage emotionally, socially, psychologically, and bonus physically, but physically it can't be abused because as I would talk about, there's the pillars of civilization: society, religion, the government. So society, and they're all designed to regulate man's power of force. So we're not living in like wild nature like animals. We live in civilized society. We live in this civilization. So it's important to uh, explore who has the leverage, understand how desire shifts the balance. So who controls the desire controls the balance. Who controls the desire controls the balance. So if I can't see a girl and I can't do without her, she controls my desire. She has the leverage. Now, if she has if if I could control my desire for her, like I still desire her, but I'm not gonna let that determine my moves. I may make a move, might talk to her, but uh, if it doesn't go my way, I'm good. On to the next. Or I don't like allow manipulative games to go on and just do too much. Like I control my desire. So the balance is either back in my hand or depending on what kind of, I mean, the power is either indifferent, neutral on neutral grounds, or it's either in my hands, where especially if I'm, being more productive, being the best version of myself I possibly could be. Um, Unspoken power creates confusion instead of trust. Um, it is important to clearly uh, understand who has the power, what power uh, each party has. And this is especially important in relationships because that's what part of the problem, a major part of the problem is going on in America and the West. Um, it's a power struggle. And it's clear as night and day how much of a power struggle relationships are in America and the West. And In Love with the Chimera is a fiction, psychological power drama that exposes that. And it's important overall to understand that power doesn't corrupt love. Unacknowledged power does. So power doesn't corrupt love. Power itself is not bad. It's unacknowledged power and abuse of power that is bad. Point three, obsession thrives where boundaries are weak. Obsession isn't about passion, it's about absence of limits. Boundaries are not restrictions. Boundaries are what stabilize situations, relationships, or whatever. Boundaries are stabilizers, they're not restriction. Boundaries are what make this work. They're not, I'm controlling you. You can't do this, you can't do that. No, you can do whatever you want. And like that's why a lot of the times you like on both sides, men and women, you have to be able to walk away if your boundaries are or being ignored, being overlooked. Bound because you by overlooking by allowing your boundaries to be overlooked, you're saying, okay, I'm going to deal with what doesn't stabilize me, what is chaotic, and you're making that decision. So it's on you. Boundaries aren't restrictions; they're stabilizers. Boundaries dissolve when boundaries dissolve. Intensity replaces structure. Intensity replaces structure, and it's a key component of relationship structure. It's not all about intensity, what feels good, what they show in the movies and the TV shows. It's about what nobody sees, structure. That's one of the main points of In Love with the Chimera. Some wins are not worth being seen. A lot of relationships is a lot of couples are worried about the wins that people are able to see, what you could put on Instagram, TV, the spectacle. When most of the wins in life, personal and relationship, they're in the shows that nobody sees. What you do when nobody's watching. That's where most of the wins are. But sometimes it seems you could put on a show, seems like most of the wins are in public when you put it on a spectacle for people. Um, obsession, obsession feels flattering at first. So anybody, and if I had, if when a girl's obsessing over me, it feels good at first, but after a while, it's like, all right, like no, it's crazy. And I'm pretty sure girls feel like that, especially because they have more frequency of men are going after them. So, and maybe I'll leave that alone. But so uh, it feels flattering at first, but after a while, it's just it's a violation. It removes restraint. Uh, And it's even worse if love requires that. If love requires obsession, you're in the wrong place. You're in the wrong place. The last point, maturity is learning to choose clarity over spectacle. So essentially, back to what I said, uh, maturity is picking clarity, structure, defined roles, defined power over put on a show on Instagram, put it on a show on TV, put it on a show on Facebook, whatever. And growth isn't found in a stronger feeling. That's not where growth is found. It's found in clearer standards. You set your standards, you understand where other people's standards are. And if your standards don't align, it's not a match. Now, everything is not going to be a perfect fit. So there could be negotiation here and there. That's when power comes into play. Who adds value here? Who adds value there? What's the value exchange? Who's willing to give up more? Who's willing to take less? Spectacle is often mistaken for depth because most people rather be entertained and lied to than take the brunt of the truth and what's real. Chaos is often over romanticized. You see that on the TV all the time. That's why entertainment is so profitable. Chaos is romanticized, and people just watch hours of it all day and have that affect their lives. And that's part of what happens in Love with the Chimera. Chaos isn't romanticized in a reality television show. How uh, naming dynamics early changes the outcome. With relationships, it's very, very, very important how it starts. Very, very important. You're if especially significant changes, but like if we don't establish like firm boundaries in the beginning and are willing to walk away, and you stay, and it comes up later, it's like you had patterns of accepting that bad behavior, that bad attitude, bad decision making from the other partner. So it's like you either take it or leave it. A lot of people are going to take it in society in America and the West, but you know maturity, that's a key component of dating and relationships and period. Maturity is choosing clarity over spectacle. Spectacle is entertainment could make you a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not important. Purpose isn't important. Why are we in relationships? What is this value? What are we doing this for? What are we doing anything for? Not just relationship. Everything should have a defined path and a defined purpose. You're not just here to be here. So, closing, just make sure you decide if you have to decide as a when you're involved in when you the essential theme of this novel, one of the essential themes is uh are you interested in relationships that you have to survive? Are you interested in relationships that you have to survive? Because that's what a lot is going on. It's just relationships that you have to survive. Is that how you want to live? If that's how if is that those the kind of relationships you want to live, or you want to be more than thriving? You want to be advancing, focus on bigger things, your purpose. So that's the grand scheme of things with Love with Chimera is going to be available uh tomorrow, uh February 27th. So just make sure you go to www.thoughtprovoking.space, get your copy. The print is going to be available tomorrow. 2 weeks after tomorrow, the ebook will be available. And I'm building the Chimera universe. So shortly after, I'm looking about 2 weeks to a month after the In Love with the Chimera, I'm going to be releasing uh, Fairy Tale Love Monster, a short story sequel in the Chimera universe. It's going to be a short story, and it will part of it part of the deal is with that you could get an ebook if you sign up to my email list. You could get an ebook for free if you sign up to my email list. That's part of the promotions that I'm going to be doing. So that will be available 2 weeks from so about 4 weeks, 4 weeks to 6 weeks for Fairy Tale Love Monster, the part two of In Love with the Chimera. So just to make sure you go to www.thoughtprovoking.space, get more information. Follow me on Instagram. Uh, follow me on Facebook. Follow me on X. You can find that all on the website, www.thoughtprovoking.space. Thanks for watching this video and have a blessed day.